Across America, a new kind of housing crisis is unfolding, one no interest rate or tax break can fix. From hurricanes to wildfires, floods to earthquakes, the homes we built to protect us are now the ones most at risk. Climate change has redrawn the map of safety, and in 2025, millions of American families are waking up to a new reality. Where you live now determines whether you can stay at all. Insurance companies are fleeing entire regions, declaring neighborhoods uninsurable. Mortgage lenders are pulling back, and property values, once the foundation of middle-class stability, are beginning to erode, house by house, storm by storm. Coastal cities face rising seas, western towns battle relentless wildfires, the South braces for hurricanes that grow stronger each year, and inland communities once thought safe from disaster are now flooding from rains they were never built to endure. This isn't tomorrow's crisis, it's already here, and as America confronts a new era of natural disasters, the greatest loss may not be the homes themselves, but the confidence that they'll still be there tomorrow. Welcome to Discover the Nation, where today we count down the top 10 U.S. cities at risk of natural disasters and housing loss in 2025. Places where beauty meets danger, where prosperity meets fragility, and where the American dream stands on unstable ground. Because the next housing crash won't come from Wall Street, it will come from nature. Number 10. Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston's historic beauty hides a fragile secret. It's sinking. Once a jewel of southern charm, this low-lying coastal city now floods dozens of times each year, even without storms. Sea level rise and heavy rainfall have combined to push water through its cobblestone streets, seeping into homes built centuries ago. In 2025, Charleston faces a reckoning. FEMA flood maps have been redrawn, insurance rates have tripled, and entire neighborhoods from West Ashley to James Island are watching their property values erode as fast as their shoreline. Developers who once sold waterfront living are now warning of waterfront risk, as buyers realize that the next storm surge could leave them underwater, financially and literally. Historic homes that once symbolized wealth are now burdens of risk. And real estate agents whisper about how even modest flooding can cut resale value by half. Some residents are elevating their homes, others are selling and moving inland to Summerville and Columbia, reshaping South Carolina's housing migration patterns in real time. Builders, meanwhile, are torn between preserving heritage and chasing profit, a struggle playing out one historic district at a time. Tourism, the city's financial heartbeat, is also at stake. Each flood costs millions in lost business and infrastructure repairs, threatening the very economy Charleston depends on. Even luxury investors are diversifying, shifting funds north toward higher ground, signaling that confidence in coastal property is ebbing away like the tide itself. For Charleston, the question isn't just about protecting history, it's about protecting the future of home ownership in a city where climate and cost are colliding. The charm remains, but every sunset glows with the reminder that beauty here comes with a price rising with every inch of the sea.
Number 9. Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles, the city of endless sun, faces disasters on every horizon. Wildfires threaten from the hills, droughts choke its reservoirs, and deep beneath the city, the San Andreas Fault waits in silence. In 2025, these overlapping risks are colliding with an already fragile housing market, turning paradise into a pressure cooker. In fire-prone zones from Malibu to Topanga Canyon, homeowners are watching premiums skyrocket or vanish altogether. Major insurers have stopped issuing new policies in certain neighborhoods, forcing buyers into costly state-backed alternatives. As rebuilding costs soar, even million-dollar homes are being left vacant, unsellable, and uninsurable. Meanwhile, the drought deepens. Water restrictions are tightening, landscaping budgets are shrinking, and entire developments are pausing construction until utilities can guarantee long-term supply. For many middle-class buyers, the cost of owning in Los Angeles no longer stops at the mortgage. It extends to heat-resistant roofing, water-efficient retrofits, and wildfire mitigation that can cost tens of thousands per year. And looming above it all is the earthquake threat. FEMA estimates a magnitude 7 event could displace nearly 500,000 residents and cause over $200 billion in housing damage overnight. Investors know it, lenders know it, and slowly, buyers are beginning to realize it too. Los Angeles is still golden, still glittering, but its foundation is cracking beneath the pressure of nature and economics alike. The question is not whether LA can rebuild after disaster, but whether people will still afford to return. Subscribe to Discover the Nation for more explorations of cities balancing on the fault line between prosperity and peril, where every sunrise hides the cost of survival.
Number 8. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Virginia Beach, once a postcard-perfect symbol of calm shores and coastal freedom, is now on the front lines of a rising ocean. The same waves that drew families, investors, and retirees are now reclaiming the land they built upon. In 2025, high tides and storm surges are reaching farther inland than ever before. Streets and neighborhoods like Sandbridge, Chicks Beach, and the oceanfront now flood several times a year, often without a storm in sight. Scientists warn that by 2050, over 60% of the city's developable land could face chronic flooding. The economic implications are staggering. Billions in real estate at risk, and tens of thousands of homes trapped in the insurance red zone. Premiums have doubled, claims are piling up, and prospective homebuyers are starting to look north towards safer, higher inland counties. Realtors admit that listings near the waterfront now linger longer, and some sellers are accepting below-market offers just to escape rising costs and falling confidence. Developers are still marketing the dream of coastal luxury, but local residents know the truth. Property values are flattening, and some are even declining for the first time in decades. The city spends millions each year just to keep roads drivable and drains clear. But the sea is relentless. The water that once brought life and tourism now brings uncertainty and loss. Virginia Beach's story is no longer about vacation homes or summer escapes. It's about whether coastal living will remain a lifestyle or become a liability.
Number 7. Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, the city of music, momentum, and migration, is now playing a tune no one expected: the sound of rising water. Once thought safely inland, the city has quietly become one of America's fastest-growing flood zones. In 2025, the Cumberland River isn't just a scenic backdrop, it's a rising threat. A series of intense storms and flash floods have overwhelmed the city's drainage systems, submerging roads, parking lots, and neighborhoods from Bellevue to East Nashville. What was once considered a once-in-a-lifetime flood in 2010 now happens with alarming regularity. The city's explosive growth has made the problem worse. Pavement and development have replaced wetlands, preventing the land from absorbing stormwater. New subdivisions continue to push into floodplains, and infrastructure built for the past can't withstand the storms of the future. Flood insurance premiums have doubled, and property owners in low-lying districts are struggling to find coverage at all. Real estate agents quietly admit that homes once valued for river views are now harder to sell. Investors are pulling out of riverfront developments, and builders are halting plans for luxury projects that once symbolized the city's boom. For many families, the dream of homeownership in Music City is becoming a financial gamble. One major storm away from disaster. Residents are watching property values dip, insurance climb, and patience run dry. Nashville's story was once about growth, ambition, and opportunity. Today, it's about survival, adaptation, and acceptance. Because progress means little when the river keeps rising. Stay with Discover the Nation and subscribe for more stories revealing how America's fastest-growing cities are facing the real cost of climate change and what it means for the homes we build, buy, and believe in.
Number 6. Portland, Oregon. Portland, once celebrated for sustainability and serenity, now finds itself standing on the fault line between progress and peril. In 2025, the City of Roses faces a sobering truth. Beneath its beauty lies one of the most dangerous seismic zones in the world. The Cascadia subduction zone, stretching off the Oregon coast, could unleash an earthquake so massive that it would reshape the region in minutes. Scientists warn it's not a matter of if, but when. The consequences could be catastrophic, collapsing bridges, flooding the Willamette River, and crippling thousands of homes built decades before modern codes existed. But the danger isn't limited to what's underground. Above ground, the city is buckling under heat waves, ice storms, and flash floods that strike harder every year. The same rivers that define Portland's identity are now threatening its infrastructure. Aging storm drains can't keep up, and power outages have become a seasonal norm. In housing, the impacts are profound. Developers are pausing projects, insurance premiums are climbing, and older homes, especially in neighborhoods like Lentz and Selwood, are losing buyers wary of earthquake risks and flood potential. Landlords are investing in seismic retrofits, while renters face higher costs passed down from expensive new safety mandates. For a city once considered the model of urban sustainability, Portland's housing market now faces an uncomfortable paradox. The greener it tries to be, the more expensive survival becomes. The city's charm remains, but its safety net is unraveling.
Number 5. New Orleans, Louisiana. No American city understands vulnerability quite like New Orleans. Nearly 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, the city's levees still stand, but the ground beneath them keeps sinking. In 2025, over half of Orleans Parish sits below sea level, and the Mississippi River, swelling from upstream rains, is rising again. For residents, the cost of living with risk has become unbearable. Insurance premiums have skyrocketed, some homeowners paying more than their monthly mortgage just to stay protected. Thousands have already left for higher ground, turning once thriving neighborhoods into patchworks of for sale signs and shuttered homes. Developers once promised storm-resistant housing, but even those advances are being tested by stronger hurricanes and higher surges. Rebuilding has become a cycle that feels endless. Fix, flood, repeat. The emotional toll is visible. Families who survived Katrina are now facing their second or third rebuild, while younger generations quietly relocate north, chasing affordability and stability. In real estate, the exodus is reshaping the market. Homes near Lake Pontchartrain and the lower Ninth Ward have seen prices flatten or fall, while elevated areas like Uptown and Carrollton command steep premiums. The divide between who can afford safety and who can't has never been clearer. New Orleans has always embodied resilience, a spirit that dances through hardship. But even resilience has limits. The city that once fought back against disaster is now fighting exhaustion. And yet, hope lingers. Grassroots projects, neighborhood elevation efforts, and coastal restoration programs are slowly pushing back. But time is short and nature is relentless.
Number 4. San Diego, California. In 2025, paradise feels fragile. San Diego's coastal cliffs are eroding, its reservoirs are shrinking, and wildfire seasons are creeping closer to the city's edge. Beachfront neighborhoods like Del Mar and La Jolla face mounting pressure from both drought and sea level rise, a one-two punch that's quietly reshaping property values. Luxury buyers once fought for ocean views. Now they're asking for how long? Homes perched on bluffs that once sold for record-breaking prices are now being reevaluated as insurance premiums soar and maintenance costs climb. In some areas, entire properties have been declared erosion risk zones, cutting their market value nearly in half. Developers are grappling with stricter coastal regulations, forcing many projects to stall or relocate inland. Water scarcity has slowed new construction, while homeowners further east face wildfire insurance cancellations that make selling nearly impossible. Even long-term residents, once insulated by San Diego's wealth and weather, are feeling the squeeze, higher utility costs, shrinking coverage, and growing anxiety. The San Diego dream has always been about balance, ocean, sunshine, stability. But that balance is shifting beneath its feet. The cliffs are crumbling faster than they can be rebuilt, and the very paradise people paid for is becoming a liability. Still, this city isn't giving up.
Investments in desalination, stormwater capture, and green infrastructure are underway, but progress moves slower than the tide. For more stories on how America's most desirable cities are struggling to stay livable, subscribe to Discover the Nation and see how the cost of paradise keeps rising, one wave at a time.
Number 3. Tampa, Florida. Once considered safer than Miami, Tampa now faces its own reckoning. Rising Gulf waters and intensifying hurricanes have transformed the region into one of America's fastest-growing risk zones. The aftermath of Hurricane Idalia proved that even moderate storms can devastate entire neighborhoods across Hillsborough and Pasco counties. Streets that once flooded once a decade now flood several times a year. The city's drainage systems, already overburdened, are no match for the deluge. Insurance giants like Farmers, AAA, and State Farm have either raised rates beyond affordability or withdrawn completely, leaving thousands of homeowners stranded. Those who can afford coverage are paying triple what they did just a few years ago. And without insurance, mortgages are collapsing. Lenders refuse to finance homes in zones where coverage no longer exists. Tampa's once red-hot real estate market is cooling fast. Buyers are walking away from contracts, sellers are slashing prices, and developers are reconsidering projects along the coast. Neighborhoods like Apollo Beach and South Tampa, once symbols of suburban prosperity, are now case studies in climate vulnerability. The irony is sharp. The very growth that made Tampa boom is what's putting it underwater, both literally and financially. Even inland suburbs, once seen as safe havens, are seeing higher stormwater risk and unaffordable premiums. For Tampa, the storm isn't just meteorological. It's economic, emotional, and generational. The city that built its future on sunshine now faces the dark side of paradise, where homeownership means gambling against the next hurricane season.
Number 2. Sacramento, California. California's capital isn't coastal, but that doesn't make it safe. In 2025, Sacramento stands on the front lines of an inland crisis, one shaped not by the ocean, but by rivers that refuse to stay within their banks. The city's levee system, designed decades ago, was never built for the extremes of the modern climate. As snowpack in the Sierra Nevada melts faster and rainfall intensifies, the American and Sacramento rivers are rising higher each season. Hydrologists now warn that a single atmospheric river event, a storm fueled by warm Pacific moisture, could inundate entire neighborhoods within hours. Developers, eager to meet housing demand, pushed growth deep into floodplains, building suburbs that now sit in zones FEMA calls unacceptable risk. Over 120,000 homes could face serious damage in a single catastrophic flood. Home insurance is climbing sharply, and many lenders are quietly tightening approvals in the region. Buyers, once drawn by Sacramento affordability compared to the Bay Area, are growing hesitant. Real estate listings now include flood risk scores alongside price and square footage. Families who fled coastal costs for inland comfort are discovering that nature has simply changed the rules. And yet, Sacramento continues to expand, because people have nowhere else to go. But if water breaches the levees, the fallout could reshape California's housing map overnight. For a city that symbolizes California's middle-class dream, the next big test won't be political or economic. It'll be environmental.
Number 1. Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu, paradise on the edge. In 2025, the beauty that once defined Hawaii's capital now carries a warning beneath its waves. Rising seas and relentless coastal erosion threaten nearly $20 billion in real estate, from luxury resorts to cherished family homes passed down through generations. High tides now flood the streets of Waikiki and Ala Moana, not just during storms, but on calm, sunny afternoons. Salt water seeps through the pavement, corroding foundations and creeping into basements. Some homeowners watch helplessly as yards vanish foot by foot each year.
Insurance companies, overwhelmed by mounting claims, are withdrawing entirely or denying coverage for properties once considered untouchable. The crisis isn't confined to the wealthy shoreline. Middle-class families inland are feeling the ripple effect: higher premiums, rising rents, and the growing cost of living in a paradise under siege. The tourism industry, Hawaii's lifeline, is bracing for impact as beaches disappear and resorts face soaring repair costs. What was once marketed as heaven on earth is becoming a case study in environmental debt. Developers are caught between profit and preservation. Some are elevating new projects, others are relocating inland toward Oahu's higher ridges, but the space is limited and the prices are climbing fast. Locals, already squeezed by housing affordability, are asking how long they can hold on before paradise becomes unaffordable altogether. For Honolulu, the future is a test of endurance. Can a city built on beauty survive when that beauty itself begins to sink? The Pacific was once its greatest treasure, now it's its greatest threat. But even as the tides rise, the spirit of Hawaii endures. Communities are banding together to restore coral reefs, rebuild dunes, and reimagine coastal living with respect for nature rather than defiance of it. Honolulu is learning that paradise was never permanent. It was always borrowed.
From Honolulu to Houston, from Miami to Los Angeles, the message is clear. The next housing crisis won't come from banks or speculators. It will come from the planet itself. Natural disasters are reshaping the real estate map, turning dream homes into danger zones. Insurance is disappearing, values are slipping, and Americans are being forced to choose between nostalgia and survival. But within crisis lies change. Cities are reinventing themselves, elevating homes, restoring wetlands, building smarter grids, and preparing for a world where resilience is worth more than location. The question is whether we'll adapt in time, or keep building in harm's way until nature makes the decision for us. For more data-driven explorations of America's changing landscape, subscribe to Discover the Nation, where every home tells a story, and every storm reveals what it really means to endure. Because in 2025, the true measure of wealth isn't what you own, it's where you can still stand.